And today we are here with our advisors. I'm really excited that you are here with us, and I hope that you find this presentation informative. If you prefer to receive this information en español, por favor, me puedes mandar un email o me puedes llamar al Departamento de Nuevos Estudiantes. Me llamo Janet Ramos y espero escuchar de ti. This year we are growing the ways we support parents, so in turn parents can better support their students. Today is our first webinar in this webinar series. And we are here and we are diving into advising. Today, to help us lead our conversation is Lynn Bryan and Jaime Mendoza, two of our very own NEIU advisors. Lynn and Jaime have graciously volunteered their time and are excited to walk us through the key items we as parents and students need to keep in mind this month. With that, Lynn and Jaime, let's jump right in.
Thanks, Janet. It's great to be here.
Good afternoon.
Well, really excited to talk to you all as parents of students. We work with students one-on-one all day long, every day. That's what we do. And guiding them into what it takes to get through a college degree. But definitely, as a parent, you have a big role in that as well. So we're super excited that you're here to hear about this stuff. So today's message specifically is on what you can do as a parent to be helpful to your college students in the middle of the semester, the middle of their first semester at college is what we're really focusing on. So the two main things that are going on right now is that your student is finishing up the fall semester, or that they're working on in the next few weeks, finishing up the fall semester successfully, and then registering for next semester. So we're going to break that down into a few things you should know to help them out and what you can be doing to help them. So first of all, we are just a little bit over halfway through the semester right now. And so your students should be in pretty good shape in terms of knowing where they are. But one of the main things that they need to know right now is how they're actually doing in their classes. And there are two ways for them to figure that out: technology and the old school way of actually talking to a person. So we're going to talk a little bit more about both of those. And then a little bit later, finals, because of course that's an important part of getting through this semester as well. Okay, the technology one is a new tool that we have, a couple of years old, and it allows the faculty member, the student's instructor, to communicate with them online, which of course is 24 hours a day, anytime the student needs to know what's going on in their class. Not every faculty member uses Desire to Learn, but a lot of them do. Well over half of them use it. And they can use it for a variety of things. As you can see on our screen here, they can use it to put their syllabus, which is basically an agenda of what they want the students to do throughout the semester. Jaime, you're an instructor. How do you use your Desire to Learn?
Well, one of the ways that I use Desire to Learn, or D2L as it's commonly referred to, is for attendance. So students can keep track of their attendance, as well as quiz scores, upcoming quizzes, tests, readings. So it gives you basic information on what's on the actual syllabus. It's just more virtual and more easily accessible to students.
Yeah, so in particular, some of the instructors will use it, and this is an actual student of mine and how he's doing in one of his classes. So you can see this instructor has listed every quiz or grade or assignment and what he's gotten on it so far. So it's pretty easy for this student to figure out how he's doing in this class, if he thinks to look at it. So again, what you can do as a parent on this is to ask your son or daughter, have you looked at that thing? I heard about that technology and that the grades are in there. But again, not every faculty member uses it that way, but a lot of them do. And you can also see down here at the very bottom that they can even like give the student a little note like, hey, that was really good. or whoa, what happened on that test, or whatever little message that they want to. Of course, there's also old school way, which is to actually ask the teacher how they're doing. But that's harder than you might think. A lot of students, especially in their first couple of semesters at college, I think feel really nervous about that. You know, faculty members might seem sort of scary, even though they don't mean to, most of them, I think. They want students to understand the thing they're trying to teach them. So they're mostly really open to that. But definitely if a student has any doubt in their mind at any time what kinds of grades they're getting, it is very appropriate for them just to ask the teacher in person or by email or by checking the D2L. And I read a study one time, you share this with your student, that the student who asks, who talks to their teacher, exhibiting an interest in the subject, is more likely to get a better grade than the student who doesn't. So, I mean, I sometimes will tell the students, this is that faculty member's life work. Their life's work is to teach math or science or art. They want to know you are at least somewhat interested in it. Even if you can't be interested in everything, you can at least show a little interest in their class, and they'll like that better. So again, another thing you can do as a parent to help your student at this point is to ask them if they've talked to their teacher. And if they don't know how to do that, try and have a little practice conversation with them on how they would talk to a teacher. If things aren't going well after they've talked to the teacher or gone to D2L, there are tons of resources on campus to help students. We have tons of tutors. That's, of course, one-on-one, actually opening up the textbook or doing the math problems together, or et cetera. But a lot of other things will sometimes get in the way of students doing well, like that they don't know how to study right. College is different than high school. It's a lot more reading and learning things on your own, and some students just might not be used to it. Time management is a huge one for college. A lot of students don't know how to manage their own time. This is, for some, the first time they've ever had to actually be in charge of their own time. So we have workshops on that. And again, people have done tons of research and study on it, and there's a lot of different ways they can do it if they'll just ask for help on it. The same with stress management, things to do that when it gets to be too much will make that go better. We have therapists on campus. Some students actually do have to deal with life crisis or problems, and of course you're likely to know about that as their parent, and we want you to know they can sit down and talk one-on-one with a therapist to work through any major or minor crises. One of the other things that keeps students from doing well is they don't know what they're going to do with their life. It's very normal for an 18, 19, 20-year-old. So we've got career advising to help with that, to narrow down all the things they could do in the world to a couple of that they might want to focus on now. So again, how you can help is to ask your student if they've used any of these resources, especially, as I say, if things aren't going so great. We can help out. And this is the time to do it mid-semester before it gets to be too late. But if all is lost, we do want you to know and to share it with your student that there is a last day when they can drop a class. It's always better to drop a class than to get an F in it, because dropping, you don't get any refunds, you have paid for the class but don't get anything out of it. But failing it also damages a student's grade point average, and they could, if that happened enough, they could not be allowed to return to the university. So this time, in the next week or two, students should be finding out what their grades are in each of their classes as of right now, and finding out if they're not passing anything, whether or not that's a possibility as we go into finals, and if it's not, to go and see their advisor and drop classes. Hopefully that won't be any of your students, but just in case, we want you to know that, so that you can help your student ask those questions and be ready if need be. I'm going to turn it over to Jaime, who's going to talk about registering for next semester, because that's happening now too.
Yeah, so as Lynn stated, the most important thing for our students and your student is to understand where they are at this point in the semester. Even though we don't offer midterm grades, we still want students to come in to register regardless of where they're at with their current courses. The reason I say that is because the earlier you register, the better schedule you get. So if your student is working during the day or in the evening, it would be a lot easier to create a schedule that fits their schedule to lessen the stress, to help with time management and things like that that Lynn covered earlier. So registration started for freshmen October 21st, so last Monday. Now freshmen will meet with us individually with the advisor to discuss current plans of where you're at, major options, and any courses that might meet those requirements for the major. But for the most part, most of your students will be taking continuation of English, math, reading, and general education courses. And as I mentioned earlier, the sooner the better. There's nothing like registering the first week and getting that first class that you wanted versus the last week of registration where we get much of the leftover courses, and you might get stuck with an 8 o'clock morning class, which sometimes isn't the best given that we are going into winter. And we all know how Chicago winters are, especially with CTA. For the first semester, we usually recommend students take the 4 classes for the fall. So depending on how your student is doing, we might recommend doing 5 courses or 15 credits for this coming spring. The reason we say that is it's time to graduation. So if a student wishes to graduate in 4 years, we want to take a minimum of 10 classes per year or 30 credits per year. That'll sort of put you in the time frame for the 4-year graduation rates. But again, we want to go with the student's ability to finish courses. We want quality over quantity. So we don't want 5 classes and wind the student dropping 1 or 2 courses, failing one, or getting a low grade to affect the GPA. So we work with the student to determine what the best options are as far as course load. Now finals, that's very important. Now you used to send out grades via mail. So now everything is online. So if you wish to know the student's final grades, which the finals will be given December 9th through 11th, and the grades should be posted by the 15th of December. You'll be able to access their grades with your student's permission through their Newport account. That'll list all of their grades on there, current GPA, and where they stand for the fall semester. And that'll lead into the spring semester. So how can you help? Ask the students within the week before they begin to prepare for finals. Depending on how your student studies, the library does have 24-hour access sometimes to study for, would you say, late night sessions, Lynn?
Yeah.
So we have that option too. Going to tutoring before finals, study groups with your classmates, use all the campus resources. More importantly, though, study with time. You don't want to study the night before. You don't want to overstudy, but you do want to give yourself a little bit of time to allow yourself to make note cards, flashcards, whatever helps for you to do those finals.
And again, you can recommend that the student go to D2L because many faculty members will tell them exactly when their final is, for one thing. They need to know that. And then they can make plans on how long it'll take to study. It is kind of a college thing to try and cram the night before, but that's not really a road to success. So we don't really recommend it if they can avoid it. So you can be asking them about that sort of thing. So we're really excited to have been able to talk to you. The main takeaway for today for you is have your students be on it. So you can be asking them these questions so that they aren't running behind, but they're running ahead of the crowd. Thanks.
Yeah, and also to be patient with your students. I know sometimes it might be difficult to communicate with them given that they feel they're adults now, they're in college, but keeping that open communication with your students leads to better success. Especially with your involvement, you show your interest. The student sees that and tries a little bit harder. So I encourage all of you, just be patient with your students, be involved, and get excellent results from your students.
Parents and students, thank you so much for your time. Just as a reminder, the Advising Center is open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, and they're located in La Salesa Hall, 0027. For all future programs, please visit NEIU.edu, New Student and Family Programs, for a full list of parent programs and webinars. And just to reiterate, si necesita esta información en español, por favor, llámame a mí, Janet Ramos, a 773-442-4883. If you have any questions about this program or for future programs, please email us at nsfp@neiu.edu. Thanks so much and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.